the lab, and once again, we are here. We are here. And another special moment for Run Tell That. And as always, all our guests are special. And guess what? These some special family members right here coming down from the the FLA coming out of Florida, and bam, and also other parts of the Caribbean. Bam, my family up in the house. Glad to have y'all on here. Sister Luna in the house, brother Shaba in the house. Woo woo. Glad to have y'all on Run Tell That. So now, let everybody know. Julius Hall, y'all know how it is. Jamal bring his people on. He bring his family on. Julius Hall be siphoning them all. So he already done gone. He done going siphon our shop. I ain't supposed to say nothing about that. I'm leaving that alone for now and see what I know. He about to go over there. He about to go play Sister Lou in a second. Cause see, I already know. Yeah. I knew when I said I need to have them on the show, I knew what was about to happen. And so, yeah, we just going to roll with it because this show right here, y'all know it's about voodoo, voodoo, the African spirit, and you. And so, but we got to do it like this always on. And good evening, Reverend Betty Jones. Yes, and that's right. Everybody who's checking out Ron Tell That, we say share. And she sent the greeting to y'all also. So, Sister Lo, who are you?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Bonsoir. Hujambo, all of that. I am a sister trying to find her way. I am trying to connect and find out who I am. So I'm on this journey trying to piece myself together. And right now, this leg of the journey is related to the spiritual aspect of ourselves. So I'm here with Shaba Kojo, and we're our people are from the Caribbean. I'm out of Haiti. I'm born there. I came over to the States with my family in the early '80s. So I was raised in New York. Then Shaba Kojo and I, we met in high school. So he's my high school sweetheart. And from there, we moved down to Florida, raising a family and basically trying to undo this damage and be whole in this space.
At times I'm frozen. When I just tell her that means I'm frozen.
Okay. Okay.
Y'all see how Loon, she just want to go and she want to do a top of Shaba. When I'm like, I was going to do that.
Shaba, don't fall into that. You coming home tonight, Shaba. Don't fall in.
Excuse me. So I just move on. Brother Shaba, who are you?
I am Brother Shaba Kojo. I am a seeker of truth, recovering Euro-Christian by means of learning the Christianity or the Euro-Christianity through my grandmother on the island of Jamaica, and then having a very sensitive spiritual childhood and seeking the cross. I believe one of my first employments was vacuuming and dusting a Bible bookstore in Brooklyn. And I must have been 6 or 7 years old. I used to get up very early in the morning on Sunday while my whole family was in bed. I would get dressed, leave the house, and go up the road to the owner of the Bible bookstore's home, where he would take me to his church. And I went to the Bible studies there, but because I was a guest, I was also allowed to go upstairs to the adult studies, and I felt out of place. I felt like were not coming. School, like dabble with Rastafarians, being that I'm from Jamaica, place. And I decided maybe that's what I need to do. So I dabbled a bit in that, and it all left me lacking. See, And
I
so
think it
I
might be a
began to look
connection.
into African spiritual systems.
Okay,
Am I
part of it,
back?
brother. No, yeah, part of it got it was buffering and not connecting. So we'll
Okay.
give you a couple
Where
of
did I
seconds after when you would go upstairs and then you felt someone out of place.
felt out of place? And in high school, I decided to seek the Rastafarian tradition, being that I'm from the island of Jamaica. Um, that gave me more freedom and more leeway to be an African, to be a Jamaican. But I didn't find all that I was looking for there. It wasn't until finally coming across ancient Kemetic science, Medu Neter, Neteru,
Mhm.
that
Yes,
I began to
yes,
feel connected to something.
yes,
And
sir.
that's when I truly found out, well, I would feel connected to this because I'm an African. I'm an African by blood, by genetics, by ancestry. My ancestors, that's who they were. So coming full circle and trying to learn from the ground up. And we decided, hey, since Loon is from IT and IT has a, a very robust system of spiritual practice in Voodoo, we decided that we would explore the Voodoo traditions of IT and see if we can help Loon to reconnect. And all at the same time, I'm exploring the Akan traditions of the Maroons in Jamaica to see if I can also reconnect.
Y'all see how it's so contagious right now? We were gonna be trying to get it and all that, but Shaba want to try to get that all out in the beginning. Y'all see that? See, it's all contagious. Sister Loom, Brother Shaba, Julius Hall, everybody do that.
Ron tell that it's the little brother show of all the HR shows. We're the little brother show. Everybody just take over and dominate us. So that's what's going on. I was like, oh my God. But we'll move on. We'll move on to this. And so I'll just throw this out there. I will say to Brother Shaba, who inspires you? Who inspires you?
I am truly inspired by Dr. John Henry Clark and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Those have to be my king and queen of inspiration. I didn't get to meet any of them personally. Um, my research is by way of YouTube initially, and then I started buying every book that I could find that these two scholars were involved in. They were champions of African culture, of Pan Africanism, if you will, and that was my introduction to, hey, you're an African, period.
Mm.
The end of story. Everything that you must do must be viewed through the lens of Africa. And I've been on this journey ever since.
All right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Brother Najanir Ansi tell me I should never say this to people that I had a confrontation with Dr. Clark. He like, Jamal, some brothers might not like that, because me and Dr. Clark got into it in Savannah about some things. But he was testing me. He was trying me. And so I later on realized that's what he was doing. So, Sister Lou, so that I say, brother, I just said, Jamal, you don't need to be telling people that some brothers might not. You around here saying stuff like that, right? So right, because that's what everybody know how we are. They know how we are. That that's what deal is. So, Sister Loon, who inspires you? Who inspires you, sis?
There's so many.
That's fine. You name them all. That's right. As many as
Well,
possible.
I don't know how much time you have, but I do want to say that when you're in the struggle, when you're trying to reconnect, to find yourself, initially you feel alone and you feel like you're the only one that's on the path. But as we study, we realize just how many have come before us who've really tried to ring the alarm and let us all know what's going on and the path that we should take. So in terms of those that have transitioned, uh, I'm going to agree with Shaba Kojo, but there are those that are still with us, that are still making impact. Mama Marimba Ani. I I have to say Yurugu, that I have picked up Yurugu a couple of times, and it defeated me each time. So I have to give it to her in her academic approach to just breaking down the environment that we're in so that we can understand who we're facing and who we are. Um, Mama Baina Bello. We have a close personal relationship with her. It's particularly significant for me because she's off of the island of Hispaniola, where IT is, and she's helping me to better understand my journey. I also have a close advisor, Charlene Desir, who I mentioned to you before, who's also in the path, and in particular with her, in that she was raised here in the States, and she's off of the island of Haiti, and also having gone through the system. These ladies have helped me to better to walk this path because they've done it already, and all I have to do is basically stay connected with them so that they can help me to avoid certain pitfalls and understand certain things, certain cultural cultural discrepancies that I can come across. So those are the women in my life right now that I've been reaching out to that have really made an impact.
Okay. All right. So now we come to this. What song gives you that inspiration that when you're going through it, just when you just hear it, just a woo. So Sister Lauren, what song gives you that what song has that inspiration, that fire,
I really wanted you to ask Shaba Kojo that question. Because Shaba Kojo is a DJ. He was a DJ, and he's exposed me to so much different music, different genre, that it's hard to say. It's really hard to say, but I love dancehall. I love and Shaba Kojo is a big proponent of that. I'm a big fan of Beanie Man, and he has a song, and I don't even remember the name of the song, but I love when the Jeles in our community are able to artistically describe who we are. So any song, any piece of art that can do that, I mean, that's it for me. And I'll be talking about it, and I'll try to put people onto it.
All right. All right. So now we come to you, Brother Shaba. What song gives you that, or songs give you that, they're like, you're like, woo, yeah, woo.
I am a dancehall person. Like every morning I have to have my daily dose of dancehall, and we're talking about sound clashes. King Addies, Kilimanjaro, Bass Addies, stuff. My it's hard for me to give you a favorite because dancehall music is based on rhythms. A rhythm is really what the vibe, and like answer rhythm, and on that you have a lot of super cat, tenor saw, and those older dancehall pioneers. That's how I get down. I have to get down every morning, 6 days a week. I only rest on one day, which is Sabbath, but I don't do my dancehall.
Okay.
All of the days, I gotta have my dancehall.
Yes, sir. I think at some point it is getting a little still a little choppy with regards to, but we're gonna work on through it, brother. Because this is when I want to come to you. I want to throw this out there to you. What is spirituality? What is spirituality?
Spirituality, as I have learned in my journey, or I have observed in my journey, is a way of life. It's the time in between breaths, the time you are taking breaths, the time you're awake, and the time you're asleep. Spirituality is not something that you do on a particular minute, in a particular hour, on a particular day. Spirituality is the core of the African worldview. Our worldview is essentially a spiritualized worldview. We relate all things in our environment to spirit. So as simple as breathing or drinking water is spirituality,
Yes,
as I've
that's
come
right.
to learn.
Yes, yes, indeed.
I thought way back in the days, spirituality existed in a temple somewhere, and I had to go and find it like an explorer from the movies, and then dig it up and open a chest, and then I would have spirituality. And I'm finding out, spirituality, even in the Haitian sense, is sharing a bowl of soup with your neighbor on Independence Celebration Day. So spirituality is the fibers in the quilt that make up African peoples.
Yes, indeed.
He trying to throw about soup jamo. He trying to throw that out. That what he's trying to say. I'm just saying.
You let them know
Share
you
what I
learn
learned.
and put on to that. You know about you.
That's right. That's right. And right. And for African people, for us, is that even when you walk into a closet, that is spiritual. And you get into your vehicle to drive, and everything that is the totality with us all the time. So, Sister Luna, what is spirituality to you? What's your thoughts with regards to that?
What I have begun to define as spirituality is the recognition, the observance that we are not, like, an individual is not in this space alone, and how you honor that, how you respect that, that is your practice of spirituality. Um, the balance that you seek in all relationships that you have with what you might believe is inanimate, and for those that are animated. Um, it is your desire to connect with everything.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's right. We're all congruent. We're all connected. And we said to everyone checking out the show, Ron, tell that on the Our Black Media Network platform, we say share, 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 share. So now we're going to jump into it. And so we got to throw it out there to you, Sister Lone. Throw it out there to you first. What is voodoo? What is voodoo?
Well, I started explaining it from the last question. It is what I'm trying to say is that people have to understand that that's what it is. It is how we understand existence. It's how we see our relationship in the cosmos. Um, it's it's not what Hollywood has told you it is. It is your wanting to have a healthy relationship with those that are around you. Human beings, animals, plants. It's respecting the air that you breathe. It's respecting the earth as a whole. It is understanding that there is a realm that is different from that which we're able to see with our plain eyes, knowing that it's there and being able to interact with it. I think that we have been made afraid of it, and it's nothing more than just not being able to see, but it still is what we know life to be. In that we have those that were in our lives that we were able to physically interact with, that have transitioned, and we're no longer able to interact with them the way that we can in the same space. But it doesn't mean that we can no longer interact with them, period. Just interact with them in a different way. That those relationships don't end. They don't have to end. I believe that there is a supreme, that there is a higher being, a force, divine, that exists, and our role in it is to make sure that all of the energy, all of the power that has been given to us, we're able to channel to accomplish the purpose for which we have returned to the purpose that we have returned to realize. So in Voodoo, we believe that on the other side, in this other realm, that we choose when to come back and who to return as. So the fact that you're here with me in this time and space and Shaba Kojo, it's not by coincidence. This is something that all of us wanted. We wanted to be in this time and space with each other. And it is so that we can realize something. And so we're in this journey, we're having this experience, we're going through the process of trying to understand what that is. And while we're doing that, we're interacting with other people, we're interacting with this world, with the plants, and all of it is open to us. It's just a matter of us wanting that relationship. And it's Voodoo is something that's specific to families, in that Shaba Kojo's family might understand relationships with plants and relationships with people in a very specific way, and they exercise it in that way. And my family may have, certain specifications, and your family may have certain specifications, but that is just familial tradition. But there is this commonality in that all of these relationships should exist, if that makes sense. We might decide that we're going to start the relationship in a specific way and interact in a specific way, but in Voodoo, the fact is that we should have these relationships. And unfortunately, having been cut off from our roots, we don't have those relationships anymore. And we've been taught to hate ourselves and all aspects of ourselves. And so we've been taught to hate the way that we see the universe. And that's all Voodoo is. It's the way that African people see this existence. So we've been taught to hate it and to see it in somebody else's perspective. And I've decided that I'm going to try to better understand how my ancestors saw it, and I'm going to try to live that.
Yes, indeed. And I said to the producers, someone made a comment saying they're trying to reach us. So if you can put that back up so we can see that. I'm going to set my. Okay, Precious, we will do that. With regards to the friend request, I'll contact you with regards to that. So we're gonna move on to Brother Shaba. What is Voodoo? What is Voodoo?
From a student's standpoint, say you were sitting in a classroom and trying to ascertain what it was, I will explain from that standpoint. Voodoo is one of many systems of observing African philosophy, psychology, medicine, ancestral relationships that was birthed from an African mind. So there are so many spiritual systems across the continent of Africa that, they're named. There's Akan systems, there's Ewe systems, there's systems from Togo, there's Yoruba, there's Ifa. Voodoo is a specific system that was, I would say, popularized in a sense by name through the Ewe people of Eastern Ghana. Those people migrated through into Togo and through into Benin. And in Benin, they created an empire, the empire of Dahomey. So I'm not saying Ghanaians did this. I'm saying people of Ewe bloodline who currently reside in Ghana migrated, because that's what people do. When they grow, they migrate. Never mind the lines of demarcations that are given on the continent today by European authorities. These people migrated because they were free people. They migrated to the area known today as Abomey, which is in central Benin, and they created a kingdom called Dahomey. In that kingdom, they decided that the spiritual system that they had in place, they were going to formalize and make it a state or nationally recognized spiritual system. That is the system of Voodoo. That system married another system from Yoruba land. That system comes from the Oyo people. It's a particular deity in the Yoruba religion called Ifa, particularly in Benin or in Dahomey, they call it Fa. And that's the system of divination that was married to the system of observation of the cosmos and observation of the plants and medicines and family traditions and family customs and so on. This system makes its way across the sea in the Ma'afa. And it takes strong roots in the island of Haiti, strong roots in the coast of Brazil, Cuba, all throughout, really, the Caribbean. Eventually makes its way into New Orleans as well. So that's how do you say, the background of Voodoo. Now, that I didn't explain anything that Luna explained, which was, well, what are these beliefs that are in Voodoo? Well, it's just a formalized system of African recognitions and spirituality. So you can look at another system like Kemetic science. That's a formalized system. You can look at the Akan system. You can look at the Yoruba system. In fact, many of these systems share very basic principles. Earth, air, water, fire. These systems traveled off the continent many of millennia before the Ma'afa into places like Asia and North and Southern continental Americas. The Native Americans carried those same beliefs as well. So that's the African Voodoo. As we move over into Haiti, Haiti combines the African Voodoo from several different areas around the continent, such as the Congo, Benin, the Akan, and they marry it with the system that was already there that was being practiced by the Native Americans. And that is all formalized into the Haitian Voodoo that Hollywood tries to popularize with negativity, which don't pay attention to Hollywood renditions of Haitian Voodoo. It will lead you astray, much like everything else they try to do pertaining to African peoples.
Yes, yes, indeed. And one of the things is just like what I've shared, folks, and people asking about roots. There's no roots here. I tell people, they say, who's a root doctor? And I tell them, listen, I said, there are different elements within that. And some people don't understand that. I said, you got the people who have the medicine faith, the herbal knowledge. That's the person, they got the herbal knowledge. Then you got the person who's a seer. That's the person who's able to look and who's able to observe and able to see. Then you have the others who are born with, I would say, and people don't try to classify them, the ones who are born with the call. That is, they're able to see those who've gone on. Again, then you got the ones who have the vision, who get the dreams, who get the messages sent to them. Then you got the ones who are the conduit, who will become somewhat the voices that are right here of the ancestors and from the Most High on this level. So I tell folks there are different elements of that, but they don't go and discuss it like that. And they have you just thinking about, again, a Hollywood notion when they talk about the root doctor. And then also, I would say the one who is also the psychologist. I want to say the psychologist, using that phrase, that's the person who, when you're trying to get that good luck, when you're trying to get that person out of your life, that, again, that's a psychologist right there. So that element. And so now we're going to this right here.
Now y'all know all of that is evil and satanic. I was going to Brother Shaba first, but Sister Lou, you like hit the thing. So you know, I try like go last time I have to go first. I go to the person who get the question last. They go first on the next question.
Hey, you can switch it up. It's your show.
But take it away. Because you done slapped that, you done reacted like that. So I guess I'm gonna go back to you. So ain't it evil?
No.
Because some people looking at this show right now.
I'm gonna be emotional. That I'm gonna feel strongly about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to you first. So what, ain't it satanic and evil? Ain't that stuff? Ain't that something like, please? I gotta put the cross up on y'all. I gotta put the cross up. You know,
put up the cross, put up everything you want. That's fine. That's fine. So, how do you? I mean, there's so many different ways to address that. No, it is not satanic. Know that when I started speaking about it, I said, think of the language of energies, that there are different energies out there. And so what we seek is balance. And balance is, if you're thinking left, right, and just having something that's even, there's a left and the right. But left and right doesn't necessarily mean good and bad. It's going to depend on your perspective. So there's that aspect of it. Not necessarily good or bad. It really depends on where you're coming from and what you're trying to achieve. My little brother, who born and raised in IT, and I was speaking to him when I went back and I was on my journey. I asked him, what is your take on it? And he said, you know what? Voodoo is like a knife. Voodoo is like a knife in that it is a tool. Now, when you are ready to, if you're a meat eater, you're ready to partake in some meat, you're going to need a knife in order to achieve your goal of consuming that knife, that meat in bite-sized pieces. To prepare it, if you're going to slaughter the animal, what have you, it's neither good nor bad. It's a tool that you're using in order to achieve your ends. Now, if you decide that you're going to take said knife and you're going to stab somebody and take somebody's life for no reason, no defense or what have you, then you can say there's evil in it. But in that action, but it's not the evil is not in the knife itself. It's in the way that you choose to use it. So that's one way to look at it. And that's the way that I look at it. The other aspect of it is that earlier on, I was describing how there is another realm where we can continue to communicate with those that no longer walk with us in the physical. Now, I've come to understand that not everyone was right in their physical. When they were physically here, they weren't necessarily walking in a righteous way, or their minds weren't necessarily right in how we understand have been socialized to be. And so things don't necessarily change when we can no longer see them in the physical. And so that energy can try to interact with you and still try to do the same things that we knew of them to do when they were in the physical. So, there are certain people in history we could say that they were evil or what have you, but depending again on the perspective, it really depends on exactly what their goal was and where you stand in that goal. So there's that you have to take into consideration when you enter voodoo, that there are energies out there that you may not necessarily think are going to be best for you to interact with what your goals are. And that is something that you have to make a conscious decision about. And that when you interact with those energies, that you make your that you make your goals and your intentions known, plain and simple, and you have that power to have distance from it.
All right. And to Black Women Deserve More, we appreciate you checking us out. And with regards to you down with Voodoo, Ifa. And so, again, we appreciate that. Now, I have to say this to the audience, that I don't know what is going on now with regards to our Black media, that when your posts are coming up, I cannot necessarily respond to them. At times, I can't respond to them and put a like in there. I can't necessarily do that. But again, we can see some of it, but appreciate you all with regard to that. And so, yes, we put it out there because that's what we got going on. And so I'm going to say this. So it's basically like, Sister Lou, not that you said that. So that's like when somebody got to have an exorcism on somebody, when they come to have an exorcism because that person now got something in them right there. All right, that's my sister. Yeah, Sister Denise out of California. Bam. That's why I saw you had liked that on IG. So yes, Sister Denise is a professor out in Cali. She's gonna be moving this side next year. She'll be here next year. So it's like, yeah, that possession, like we see the Exorcist, that movie, spinning the head around, all that right there, that evil. I'm just saying. So, Brother Shaba, that is necessarily voodoo, but it's tied to, it got some satanic elements in it. It got that black magic stuff in it. That. I'm just saying. I heard Sister Lou saying, but I know, so I'm just coming to you. And it got that satanic, that like black magic, like that not so good stuff, that anti-God stuff in it.
All spiritual systems.
Sister Lou want to jump on me right now. I'm
being respectful.
He's asking the question.
Kojo's turn to talk. I'm gonna let him talk because I know that he know better. So go on, Shaba Kojo.
All spiritual systems can be used for wickedness, for evil, for mass murder. We are socialized to believe that there is a hierarchy of spiritual observation, especially here in the West, in the Americas, in the South, particularly of America. We are socialized to believe that there is a hierarchy of spiritual potency, and that at the top of that hierarchy is Christianity, and Christianity is good, and anything that doesn't follow those Christian tenets, well, they're the opposite of good. And that's because of the way the Bible is written by the people that chose to put, those canons together. They chose the books that didn't deal with necessarily all of the forces that are out there in the universe that we as spiritual beings can interact with. Particularly in the beginning of the Bible, you have the character of Lucifer, who we've come to know as the great Satan, right? That's where all devil worship stems from. However, I've read that Bible. I've read that Bible 3 or 4 different versions, 3 or 4 different times, and I haven't seen anywhere in that Bible where Satan kills anybody. In fact, the person that does the most killing in the Bible is usually sanctioned by God, and it's one of his more powerful angels, whether it's Gabriel or Michael or the flood or what have you. So if we're talking specifically in interaction with human activity, and humans seek life, a life of freedom, then if you read your Christian Bible, you can see that when certain humans sought certain levels of freedom, that their biggest adversary wasn't the great Satan or Lucifer, but they were wiped out by one of God's or Jehovah's, commands. Like, okay, that has to stop, and that's what it is. No one defines God in that sense as evil or wicked. They say, well, he was rooting out the evil or the wicked, because those energies exist. And as human beings, we are going to have to choose what path we want to walk. We're going to choose the path of righteousness that aids our community, or we're going to choose the path of selfishness that aids ourselves and harms community. And in all spiritual practices, that exists. Whether you're going Islam, whether you're going Christianity, whether you're going Voodoo, whether you're going Abasom, you can use all these things for selfishness, which is isfet or disorder, or you can use these things for order. And order in the African sense is the thing that serves communities to communities' betterment. You gauge every action that you do as an African in whether or not it serves community in a positive way, starting with family, friends, extended family, and community at large. If what you are doing serves community in a positive way, then it's light. If what you're doing serves your own community in a negative way, then it's darkness. And that's all there is to it. It's that simple. But if people want to go into the possession of things, okay, what are you doing when you're possessed? if you're possessed by the Holy Spirit, hopefully you're singing and you're dancing and you're spreading that joy and you're communing with other fellow Christians in a good way that uplifts them. That's what you're doing with the Holy Spirit, right? There are other people that use the power of God in a very negative way, right? And they'll tell you, well, they're Christians. You know, Christianity, as I have kept account, is responsible for a lot of bodies in this world, starting back with the Knights Templars and the Holy Wars and all this other stuff, right? As far as voodoo, as I know it, was weaponized in the Haitian Revolution to free Haitian people from being zombies to European enslavement. That's the only time that I can look back in history documented that I can see voodoo weaponized. And it was weaponized to serve the African people and the Native American people on the island of Haiti to relieve themselves from the burden of being zombies to the Europeans that wished to keep them enslaved in perpetuity. And that was being done from a Christian basis. So voodoo being the answer to Christian, well, you're black, therefore you deserve to be a slave. Voodoo's answer was, no, I'm African. I was never your slave. You caught me slipping. Now, if I catch you, I'm gonna cut your head off because I'm serious about my freedom. Now, if Europeans want to call that evil, well, you're gonna have to weigh both sides of the coin. Be your slave in perpetuity, free myself, and the only language you understand in me trying to free myself is cutting your head off, because apparently you're gonna keep coming back here until I do that. I like freedom, you know. I like being free. As a matter of fact, Gullah Geechee people have a great communal song concerning freedom. So I know y'all love freedom. So that's where we at with it.
I'm looking up now because I want God to strike me down based on the stuff that y'all been saying. I'm looking. I'm letting God know. I'm letting God know this is just a show. I just got him on the show. But
don't be mistaken. God walks with us. Don't be mistaken.
Because I'm gonna say this. We got a problem. I'm gonna let y'all know we have a major problem. We have a major problem, and sometimes this occurs like this. This is a major problem. We can't go as we need to go as in depth with regards, because there's a lot of things going on. And to the audience, why they're on here, because they've been working on something, and we really can't get into it because based on the time. Because again, Run Tell That is the little brother show of all the Our Black Media shows. Everybody else got 5 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours. Run Tell That, 57 minutes. 57 minutes. So the problem I'm throwing out to y'all, we got to do a part 2. We got to do a part 2. The part 2, I want to get into with regard to the project, because there's some things that we have discussed and we shared. I want the audience to know. So the things that you are hearing from them, it is correct. But there's some other elements we want to get into also. But I want to know if y'all can come on the show. I'm putting y'all on the spot. Can y'all come back on the show?
Absolutely. We love being with our community, wherever they are on the planet.
Sister Loon, next Wednesday, can we work that out next Wednesday?
For you.
All right, okay. So yeah, because we're going to delve into the project, because getting to the audience, they have an excellent project we're going to get into, but there's some other things we. In the new contract, we're going to Roku television. Y'all going to extend the show? Okay, we'll see. Yeah. They think my nickname. They call me on the. Our Black Media, my nickname is El Stupido, because they, I'm stupid. Yes, I'm gullible. That's how it is with them. So, but we want to go involved with regards to this, that I'm going to say the bastardization of voodoo. How have you seen how do we see the bastardization of voodoo, that with regards to, because you alluded to some of it, like what are some of the other elements that come in play? Because you all share some things that, again, like voodoo dolls. You know, I have attacked New Orleans about voodoo dolls. Then this weekend when y'all told me some, I'm like, No, that means that how they have gone and even got us when it comes to the spirituality and some things how you talked about it, y'all threw it out there. So, Sister Loon, how have we seen voodoo done co-opted by other people?
Whew, we don't need to go any further than where you've just named New Orleans, where Europeans have claimed it for themselves. And basically, you'll go down Bourbon and you'll come across various shops, and they're run by Europeans, and it's commercialized. It's these skulls, voodoo dolls. They're selling potions and willing to cast spells, and that's not what voodoo is. But they can only do that because prior to that, Hollywood took the idea, they ran with it. The ideas of zombies and these stick pin dolls, and so New Orleans being so closely associated with Haiti, they were able to co-opt that and just make it something that it's not. To the point that we went out there and we were looking for practitioners, those that observe in the spiritual system, and we kept bumping and being referred to Europeans. And unfortunately, when we're looking for ourselves and our people that are practicing, they're doing it under the shade of darkness. They're doing it behind closed doors. They're not proud, and those that are claiming it, they're claiming it just so that they can make money off of it and water it down, and as you said, bastardize it. It's awful. And unfortunately, that's capitalism, and that is that is our nature, especially when we are in need, that we will basically sell ourselves so that we can eat. And I'm saying that because it's also true in IT, where there are groups of Europeans that come into IT, and voodoo communities know of them. They welcome them. They put on a show for them. Something that's exotic that they're not expecting to see, some magic tricks or what have you, and basically entertain them so that they can get a few dollars off of them. So, yeah, there's bastardization that's occurring, and we need to understand that this is a high level of understanding of being, and we can't allow this to continue to occur. We need to claim it, and we need to safeguard it and be gatekeepers of this of this way of being, and this understanding that we have about our existence. It needs to stop.
Yes, and we see people talk about cultural appropriation, and they don't apply it even when it comes to voodoo, and with regards to that, and not looking at how that has been one of the oldest forms of that. We have seen it with regards to the imagery of African people to knock us out, but that has been one of the things that they have done. And so, my brother Shaba, what is wrong with me getting a doll and sticking some pins in it? What is the problem? Because Tiger wronged me, so I won't get even with Tiger.
So you're basically
you're trying to tell me that's not tied to voodoo.
You're trying to do negative acupuncture in effigy on a tiger doll. Not our stuff, bro.
Okay.
That's what the Europeans want to think it is through their witchcraft or their Wiccan or their spell casting. They can go ahead and say that. And what Europeans often find themselves the victim of is transference. Something that's in their own culture that they can't reconcile. They throw that right on us. And one of the first things that I want to address to your audience is the idea of a zombie. So zombies have got to be the most popular horror films nowadays. And the concept of zombie originated from Hollywood's idea of what happens to Haitian people who are
Mm,
captured and zombified.
mm, mm,
Haitians have a very particular definition of what a zombie is.
mm,
A zombie is when you are no longer acting in your own volition to the
mm,
will of yourself and your ancestors, and
mm.
you have been completely rewritten to serve someone else's will. A zombie is more closely related to an enslaved person
Mm.
and a brainwashed enslaved person doing the will of someone else,
Okay.
more so than any flesh-eating bacteria that drops in your eyeball that
Mm,
transforms you into that thing. So the what we really need to do as African people when examining zombies is to find out how much of the European zombie is still latent within us.
mm,
And if
mm.
we find any of that zombie infestation, then Africa seriously is the only path back to adjusting yourself to your right mind and de-zombification. And voodoo, especially used in the Haitian Revolution, was the answer to mass zombification of African peoples planet-wide. And when they were able to revert themselves to their righteous, conscious African mind, then what they did was they instated the only republic in the world that was against the enslavement of any peoples. And if you made your way to that island, you were free forever in perpetuity. Whether you were white, black, orange, Spanish, Native American, you became an honorary, non-zombified free person
Okay.
forever.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
what we need to understand. So if you would rather use the Hollywood definition of a zombie and go around 28 days later, you can do that. Those movies are very entertaining. Unfortunately, they don't address any of our political situations as African people worldwide. They're very
Yes.
entertaining.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that we discussed, or we had a conversation, and we talked about altars, like when you were in Benin, because again, we want to explore more about this with regard to the project. The project, they have gone around the world showing these connections with regard to our spiritual foundations and showing how the people are connected. And one of the things about altars, and I've used this right here, and I tell folks, people get upset, like when they see somebody talking about having an altar in their home or altar in a particular place, people are like, oh, no. I tell folks, I said, guess what? When you understand African people, our experience evolves based on where we are. I said, guess what? You got altars in your homes. When you walk into that house, you got all the pictures on that wall. You got no pictures on the wall. That's an altar right there. You got all the pictures. You got the stuff set up. You got plants that came from Aunt Lucille's, homegrown stuff. Those some of the plants that they had right there, or that was grandmama right there. That's an altar right there. But we try to make it seem like it's something so foreign. I'm not saying no, it is not. It's a part of who we are. And that's what we got to be about, connecting. And that's why I'm thinking it's so wonderful with regard to the video that you all have done and the documentary that y'all are doing, again, because y'all going around from the U.S. to the Caribbean to Brazil, South America, and to the continent. And so next week, that's why I want to tell that we're going to explore more with regards to that. But you all said something. I had to do a video. I have not posted a video yet. That I was like, you said something. I knew it, but you had to bring it out of me for me to think about it. When y'all had discussed something, and I want the audience to get this right here, that you have Catholic churches that are on spiritual sites, traditional spiritual sites in Africa. Why is that? Explain that to, because I knew about that. I knew that churches, Catholic churches, will be put in these places. I've seen it in South America, Central America. They do stuff like that. But it never really made me think. I was like, oh shoot, yeah. Can y'all elaborate on that? Before we get shut down.
We are the people of the earth. We like to be 10 toes down with our feet in the soil, with no barrier in between them. And in being those people, we tend to build our most spiritually potent sites in naturally occurring, like natural sites, if you will. So, for instance, the base of a very old tree, the mouth of a very a very potent spring or river, the rock that was first claimed by the ancestor who discovered that area that people settled in. So we always had spiritual landmarks that would become these grounds that we would gather and have ceremony and build altars to our ancestors. Through the process of colonialism, when the conquerors came in with their guns and machine guns, they first came in under the guise of spirituality. So what they would do is they would set up churches or gathering hall or fellowships hall close to our sites and begin to evangelize. And then when the military arm of their purpose came in, then they would fully take over our site and they would destroy it, marking not only a destruction of the community, but a spiritual defeat of the people in that area. And then they would erect their Catholic oaths to themselves, their steeples and all that stuff. And that would be the designated gathering place for all colonized Africans to meet once or twice a week to show them, hey, you all are defeated people. Not only are you not powerful, but your gods are not powerful. They would claim our spiritual sites. And it does a lot to destroy the psyche of African people. So this is where syncretism gets its birth from, because we would want access to those places. So we would go there and we would worship and say that, yes, we're worshiping the deities of Catholicism, but we would use the white face of their saint as a covering to worship our old ancestral ways. And there you have the birth of syncretism, starting with the destruction of our historical altars. And many of these historical altars and sites, by the way, are also tied to burial grounds, ancestral burial grounds. So we may have a founder of a city that was buried near this rock or near this root of this tree or this root system or near this river. And those things are all, destroyed. Right. Therefore, destroying the potency of the community.
All right. So, and Reverend Betty Jones, we'll be having them next week, and I'm glad you're looking forward to next week. So, Sister Loon, we're gonna let you close us out with some inspiration you can provide to the people, so that way we got like a minute. So we let you take this minute and to go ahead and give some inspiration to the people, and we'll see you all next week. But again, we're throwing it out to you, sis.
Know that our spiritual system, our spiritual understanding, and our culture are intertwined. And we are living out voodoo without realizing it. We solely don't know the name of it, and so we don't recognize it. But it's there to reclaim, and all of the energy, all of the power that is associated with it awaits us. It's only for us to recognize and want to tap into it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We appreciate you all. Sister Loon, Brother Shaba. Next week, we have part 2. In conclusion, we're going to get into their documentary. This work right here is tremendous work and the things that they are doing. And so we're so glad to even have them on our show, Run Tell That. We say to all of you, we'll see you next week and continue the journey as always. Appreciate y'all. Peace and blessings.
Ashe.
Thank you. Peace.
All right.
Like that. like that.